I want to explore a little bit more the Wars Power Act that was passed today in the United States. Well, the first step in the process, a vote will be held on it next week. But it was significant in that it, as I mentioned earlier, 5 Republicans joined with all of the Democrats in advancing that. Joining me now to talk about this, Travis Weber, Vice President of Policy here at the Family Research Council. Travis, thanks so much for joining me. So let's break this down first. This goes back to the 1970s, where we had Congress first passing this when Richard Nixon was president. He vetoed it. Congress overrode his veto. It's long been controversial. Presidents on both sides of the political aisle have said it's unconstitutional. So this vote today was more of a messaging vote than it was a policy substantive action.
That's absolutely right, Tony. And we have to look at this issue in the context of constitutional authority. So Article 1, covering Congress, grants Congress the power to declare war. Article 2, covering the executive branch, grants the president, the executive branch, the authority to conduct foreign affairs, and gives the president the position of commander-in-chief of the military. So these constitutional provisions have, throughout our country's history, have set up a discussion or paradigm in which the conduct of foreign affairs concerning the military in areas that might blur the lines between these two, there's going to be a discussion about it. Now, for most of our history, this is not as much of a discussion. Historically, war was declared by Congress in the era of, quote, maybe more traditional wars, but the War Powers Resolution in the modern era, which was passed after Vietnam, in the decades since, we've seen a series of smaller actions that have provoked these questions. Afghanistan, our involvement elsewhere, like the raid to capture Osama bin Laden, more recently Syria, Libya, and now this incident in Venezuela. So, Tony, it's important to have that context. Different resolutions have been passed, like the one today, drawing upon the War Powers Resolution and that framework that it had set forth, and directing the president to stop his activity in military activity in Venezuela. In reality, Congress cannot direct him to stop it, part of the Constitution. And the courts have largely stayed out of this because it's seen as a question for the other branches of government constitutionally under the political question doctrine. But Tony, we'll have to see how things play out. A lot of this is going to come down to, as you note, how much, to the degree to which leaders, in this case, 5 Republican senators joining the Democrats, to the degree to which they want to stand up to the president's ongoing military activity in Venezuela. I think that's going to be the key, not the one and done, which can be seen under the rubric of a detention for law enforcement purposes, but rather ongoing use of military authority will be a question as we examine this question in the context of the Constitution and the historical assessment of war powers resolutions.
Travis, we just have a little over a minute left, but I would think that this is more responding to the president's statements that the United States was going to be running Venezuela, as there was going to be some type of occupation, not the 47-minute raid that Senator Risch made reference to earlier in the clip.
I think that's absolutely right. And the question, the term running, it leaves a certain amount of ambiguity and vagueness on the table in terms of we don't know the time frame of that, how long that's going to be, the implications of that, or the implications civilian or military. We see, down in Venezuela, forces aligned with Maduro detaining people, scanning their cell phones for evidence of celebration of alignment with the raid and celebration of that. So certainly there is going to be questions that arise of how are things going to be conducted down there. And so I think that's absolutely right. The question here is going to be the extent and longevity and level of involvement of military assets in Venezuela.
All right, Travis Weber, thanks so much for joining us. Always appreciate your insights.